Well, hey folks, how's everybody doing tonight? We got a couple different things lined up for you. Had some questions this week on synchronization, where people are having some issues on creating their videos, and as they're watching what they've done as far as editing, the audio and the video is totally out of sync. So we want to address that a little bit, because this is not an uncommon issue, and it certainly applies not only to Filmora.
Angela just said, "Look, it's Santa."
Look, it's Santa?
You.
Oh. So, ho, ho, ho. Anyway, it's not an uncommon issue, and it will happen with virtually any editing software once you start making a lot of edits. Another thing that is helping to, I should say not helping this along, is more and more people are doing videos in such a high quality format that they run into some serious mismatch issues where their computer that they're trying to edit with just can't handle, say, 4K videos, where they start taking pieces out of them. All the editing you do is kept in memory, and if you don't have the physical memory in the machine, it has to use the virtual memory, which is right into disk, and it'll just cause synchronization issues as far as seeing the playback without rendering the video. So that's a couple of things we want to address. Got Will Wallace here with us tonight, and he's got his own topic that he's going to talk about just a little bit later. And well, let me see if I can find him. He's over here in the... Oh. I'll bring him over. He's there. He's there. Let me open up Filmora here. But Will's going to talk some about camera equipment, different gear that is in use that he has, and some suggestions on some different things for taking your videos. But if we go into Filmora, let's see if I can I'm just going to drag this video down. This is just a couple minutes of where we were doing the salmon fish that I'm hoping every one of you saw, that we put it up here last week. But if we go into this video and we start making edits, I'm going to cut a piece out of the middle here. And for this piece, I'm going to speed it up. Yeah, that's too much. We'll just speed it up 20 sometimes. So now, sure that will work here. So now if I play this, you should, I'm guessing it'll be out of sync here as soon as it goes through that sped up part.
We're in Ohio, so we don't have, our herbs aren't ready yet. They're not even peeking out of the
Are you hearing a weird noise?
Yeah.
Sounds like you're running a chopper over there.
Okay, that section of the video is sped up 22 times. But if you notice now, the audio and the video are not synchronized.
Plastic cutting board. So I have.
It is catching back up.
It's right here.
But that was just a very quick little
I'm going to use this
short example of what happens. And I'm running a computer here that's not a slouch. It's an i7. It's got 12 gig of memory, solid state drives. So it's pretty well a gaming computer. And I run into those synchronization issues even with it. If you're running a smaller computer, you have an i3 or even an i5, the slower drives, and you start making multiple edits on a video that's 12, 15 minutes long, you will run into issues where it will go totally out of sync for you to view it back. Now, when you render the video, when you produce it, it'll be fine. But to watch it in the screen as far as editing, it will not. I'll go back into piece right here, and I'm going to mute that part because obviously the sound for that is of no good. The entire piece here is just over 2 minutes, so this won't take a lot of time. But if you notice right here where I have the mouse, it brought up a screen here that says creating a preview renders is necessary for smooth playback. Please wait. So I've clicked. See the circle bouncing there? That's the button you need to press to render the video, to continue editing where it at least has a chance of staying in sync. Now, one of the other things you can do, and again, this is depending upon your computer and how big of files you want to work on. If you divide your project into sections that are, if you have a 20-minute video and you divide it into 5-minute sections, you would have a better chance of keeping everything in sync for your playback and editing. Produce that section, set it aside, go to the next one, produce it, set it aside, and then just assemble those 4 pieces to make your 20-minute video. I think you will find that you wouldn't have those issues. There are, if you start doing some searching out on the web, you're going to find some folks that have said, well, if you get a video conversion program and convert your videos down to a WMV file in a very low resolution, and then you won't have this issue. But that's not what you want to do. So then they further go on to say, well, you edit your video this way, and then you save it as a project, close the program, open the program back up, but take those video files out and replace them with your original video files. So when it comes up and says, I can't find the video file, you have the opportunity to point it to the proper file for that project. So in other words, you're kind of fooling the software, but they say that works. I don't know if it does or not. That sounds like too much work to me. So we have rendered this now, and if I play it,
our herbs aren't ready yet. They're not even peeking out of the.
You notice it's in sync.
Sorry, that may sound so loud. It's a little plastic cutting board. So I have the ingredients right here. I'm going to use this.
So make use of this pre-rendering tool. Grandma Rosa, absolutely you can pre-render it more than once because you are not making a finished project here. You are doing this all in a temporary files. When you use this rendering button, this is just
oh my gosh,
for you to work on the editing on this timeline. So you can do it as many times as you want. You're clipping out rooster crows. A lot of times by just, and I don't know exactly what all you're doing there, but a lot of times by just cutting out short sections, you could be fine. I would not pre-render it here unless you have to do that. But that's just one of the solutions that's available to you without short of going out and buying a powerhouse computer.
Sorry.
Found him at the store, Will.
had his son on his lap.
Yes, I
So
saw.
I'm sitting, we were talking about Filmora and following along, and all of a sudden there's this tapping on the door. And I'm like, what the heck? And all of a sudden he comes walking in, and here we are. So
So does anybody have any questions about the pre-rendering tool that Filmora has in here? And a lot of other of the software programs have that as well, where they will pre-render the video just for the continuation of the editing where everything remains in sync. Okay, Half Acre Dreams. All right, and you've indicated it repeats, and yes, I heard that, and yes, it will do that. But what happens here is, if we take this, and if I create this as a video file, and I can do this, it's only a couple minutes, it's not that long. I'm going to do this as this video. I'll just dump it in the video folder. Render at 30 frames. Bit rate's 10, that's fine. Good there. Okay. So while this takes a couple minutes to do this, I'll go back to the chat here. Hello, country girl, and Divine Providence.
She's the one who asked the question, sent the message.
Divine Providence Homestead?
Yeah, that's the one who asked about the music stuff.
Okay, well, were you able to see my explanation as to what typically the causes are on it being out of sync? Can you explain rendering again? Okay. Filmora, along with a number of other softwares, will have the ability to pre-render the video simply for your editing view back. In the process of you editing the video, chopping pieces out, adding pieces in, adding additional things, transitions and effects, titles, all this stuff is kept in a memory status. Your original video is never harmed. So everything is kept in the memory. And if you don't have enough physical memory in the computer, if the computer doesn't have enough horsepower to keep all this in a memory where it can just instantly recall it to play it back, it will write this off to the hard drive, and it will cause lagging, if you would. So the audio could be lagging, the video could be lagging, they're just totally out of sync. By pre-rendering the video, it creates a temporary file of the finished product so that you can view it back in the editing form in a smooth fashion, get a nice smooth playback. But again, it does this in a temporary form. It's not creating a finished product for you. It creates a finished product once you export the video, either locally or a direct upload to some device. But it does this.
Smooths it out?
Yes, it will smooth it out. And that's what we did here. And that's why I'm making this little two-minute clip here. When we played it back before, you could hear a couple where it doubled up as an echo thing. It'll still do that if I go back and play it there, but by creating this export, creating the actual video file, that should not be there. I'm going to be very surprised if it is. It should not be there.
Didn't work for me, but I found out I had very little memory left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even with the pre-rendering, if there's not enough memory left on the computer, you'll still run into that lag process. But by exporting the file, actually creating the file, that file should be good. Okay, so we'll close this.
Hey folks, back again. The cedar planks have soaked quite a few hours, so we're ready to going to get the salmon on the grill. That'll only take 10-15 minutes, and I'm going to do these potatoes in the air fryer. That should take about the same time. So for the salmon, I'm going to cut up this dill. This is fresh dill. I had to buy it. We're in Ohio, so we don't have, our herbs aren't ready yet. They're not even peeking out of the... Sorry, that may sound so loud.
Okay, so if you notice, it went through that section of the video that was sped up some 22 times, came right back into the video.
I'm going to use this.
It didn't miss a beat.
I'm going to stir this around so it's well blended.
Synchronization is fine.
This will go on the salmon. And what I'm going to do for now is just set that aside. And these are the potatoes. There's only 3 of us, so.
We come back into this, we'll probably hear it doubled up here again, but we'll find
I
out.
had to buy it. We're in Ohio, so we don't have, our herbs aren't ready yet. They're not even peeking out of the... sound so loud. Little plastic cutting board. So I have the ingredients right here.
So that's how you can help alleviate problem that we all run into. And the more advanced editing you do, the more this is going to become an issue. I bet Will has run into this a time or two.
Sorry, I dropped something and I was trying to get it from underneath the table without getting out of frame. I don't know what you're.
But I'm
sorry.
But I'm sure you've run into this too with editing, where it's gotten out of sync with a lot of heavy edits.
Yeah, I've had it actually even when you have a camera and you're shooting the video with the camera, and all of a sudden there's an issue where the camera doesn't even have this synchronization stuff of that, and you have to fix it in the editing program. I've done that before too, and that works pretty well. But yeah, once you export the thing, it might not look right when you have it on your computer, but once you export it to whatever file format and then you play it to just review it before you upload it, you'll notice that a lot of those little things will be fixed in it.
Yep.
The one I've noticed a lot too is you'll notice it in the voice, but actually where you notice it too is if you ever have animated text in the unexported version, it gets kind of choppy on the screen. It goes like across if you have a animated text or whatever. But then once you export, it goes and it does the right thing exactly how it should be. So I've seen it there actually more often than, or on transitions between videos. So transitions and text more often than actually the audio side of it.
Yeah, I knew that by speeding up a section of the clip that would throw it off here for me, which it did.
Yep. Can I also give one quick tip on speeding up or time lapse or any of those parts of your video? If you're going to do a montage where you're going to do a time lapse or you're going to do a speed up a section, like you want to go really fast because you're chopping and you just want to show it really fast, one suggestion I do is take the audio level and drop it all the way down to 0 during the time of when the speed up is, and then layer in some music with it. And it's actually it's less jarring and more pleasant for the person who's actually watching the video too. So little trick that a lot of the pros do is if they have audio or video or big montages and stuff like that, they'll drop all the audio out of all of it and just have background music play over all of it. And it kind of makes its own little scene inside of your video.
Yeah. And I think probably everybody knows I did disable the sound in that section of the clip there that is run at 20 sometimes. There was somebody said something or asked something here.
I Fake Your Dreams.
Okay, what is the best file format to save it to? My recommendation is anytime you export it, just save it as an MP4.
If you're on a Mac, save it as an MOV file. Same thing.
So we don't talk Macintosh here, but
whoa,
Eat 'em.
that's all I use.
Grandma Rose is asking, can you plug in an external mic to an iPhone? If so, do you plug it into the headphone jack? I can't find another port.
if you let me get Will a little bit bigger. Let me get you a little bit bigger on the screen here, Will. Okay. Show them again.
So depending on which iPhone you have, if it's an iPhone 6 or before, you can just take a plug it right into it, and away you go, and you're good to go. Just that simple. Just plug it right in, and off you go, and there's an external mic. Actually, this microphone is the same microphone that I use on my GoPro, which when we get into gear and stuff like that, we can talk about. But I actually recommend this little guy. It's a Sony microphone. Really simple. It picks up a nice area. They also make a shotgun version of this, which is a long tube phone by a company called Rode. And you just point it towards where you are, and then it'll record whatever it's pointed at really, really crisp and clear.
Now, if they have a newer than a 6.
Okay, so if you have newer than a 6, which I have, it has a little port on the bottom of it there. See that little port? That's the lightning port on the bottom. You can get a microphone adapter. So this is the microphone. This is the adapter. Microphone plugs into here. This plugs into the phone. You're good to go. So you just have to get an adapter to do it. For a regular iPhone 6 or older, you can just plug the microphone jack right into the top of your phone. For 7 and newer, you have to get a little adapter, and then that plugs right in to the phone, and away you go. Just that simple.
Okay, so if you have a 6 Plus, then you can get by without the adapter.
Correct. Yep. And the adapter, here's the thing. This little adapter is like $3 on Amazon, so it's not going to break the bank. The microphone's usually the part that's a little bit more expensive. And some of the microphones actually come with the adapters in them for free, one for Android, one for iPhone, and then one for the regular jack.
Can you share with them what model microphone you just showed them there?
This is a Sony. I think it's like an NV200, I think. If you look up Sony microphone, it'll just come right up on Amazon if you punch it in. And then the Rode microphone, if you type in RODE microphone, iPhone, it'll come right up. They come up real simple. Most companies don't put their model numbers on them, but it's either Sony for this type of mic, if you want a mic like this, and Rode if you want a mic. This is a big one, but a mic like this.
Hey. So, do we have any other questions here about about some different tricks to use as far as the pre-rendering to continue editing your videos and getting them to play back smoothly before you actually export them? Are there any other questions people have with those? And if you have issues during the week, if you want to send me an email to familyhomestead@gmail.com, we can get back with you if necessary. We can get on the telephone or whatever we got to do. We're here to help the best we can. Okay. Well,
what drawl?
Apparently she's met some southern gentleman.
Sorry, I can't pull the chat up on there, so I have to have it on my phone. So I'm not texting with folks. I just unfortunately can't. I can't run it on the computer. That's what it was. Is I had the chat running, and the video. Remember last week how the videos kept cutting out?
Yeah.
I figured out that you can't have YouTube open because YouTube is trying to provision the camera, thinking I'm going to go live. Well, Skype is using it. So what I've done is I've moved the chat over to my cell phone, and then I just use the Skype. So that's our tech issue for the day. Is if you're going to use the live stream functionality in YouTube, you cannot have Skype open at the same time.
Well, that's got to be a Macintosh thing. That's all I can say.
I don't have my.
There you go. Here we go. Remember the old Mac and PC commercials?
Unfortunately. And that's why I bought a VHS instead of beta.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's jump over here to the equipment side since I have you on the screen. And if you want to go through some of that.
Sure. So one thing I always start with, because a lot of people ask, what kind of camera should I get? What kind of camera should I use? Should I use this? Should I use that? How can I do this? How can I do that? I get that question all the time. The first thing I tell everybody is always the same thing, which is the best camera to use is the one in your hand. So whatever phone, camera, device, GoPro, DSLR, whatever you have, that's what you should start using first. and then work your way up into different things. When we started the Weekend Homestead YouTube channel, I did everything off of my cell phone. All the videos were shot off of them. And to be quite honest with you, I had an iPhone 6 at the time, and it was phenomenal. I mean, the video quality was great. The ability to dump it to your computer and edit it was easy. I always had my phone on me, so it was easy to just pull it out and start recording. On the newer ones, the camera that faces you works really good, so you can actually see what you're recording while you're doing it. I recommend the iPhone to a lot of people. And then, you know, people say, well, I can't necessarily use my iPhone, or I want to get into different cameras and devices. What should I use? Like I said, first option, use your phone. It works great. If you have a newer phone, most people have a phone of some kind that can take video and photos. They're awesome these days. If you have something within 3 years, you're all set. I mean, you can do video and record to your heart's content, and you would probably never fill it up. And if you did fill it up, you could always just dump it to your computer and edit it. The other thing is most phones now have editing software on them. So if you want to make some quick edits and video and press the button, you can do that. I don't know if I think Android has an editing program, but I know for sure Macintosh has an editing program. The next item,
Filmora has an editing program for the phone. That's free
for the iPhone and for Android.
I believe so.
Perfect. Well, there you go.
Not that I use. I don't. I would have to carry a magnifying glass to do that.
Yeah. So then another question people ask are, well, what about GoPros and those types? And they make all different types. I have a GoPro that we used a lot. This worked really well because we could mount it onto the tractor and drive around, or if we took it out somewhere and it fell in the mud, you know, they come with these cases on them that you just put the camera inside the case and close it up. And I could throw this in the water and sink to the bottom of the lake, and it would stay watertight and waterproof, and it would still record. But the downside of the GoPro is the audio is horrible for it. So the way I solved that was I bought a cheap Sony microphone that I can use with my phone, but then I can also just plug it right into my GoPro, and here we go. We've got a microphone in the GoPro, and now you've got HD video quality. And this works pretty good. You know, it's not the optimal solution, but if you want something small that you can take in your backpack and you don't want to use your phone, you know, something like this works pretty good.
How's that work underwater for you, Will?
The microphone, usually I don't do any recording of audio underwater because it's usually so I don't do that. But the cool thing is you can take a couple little classes online regarding like the GoPro, and you can do time lapse, you can do slow motion video, you can do all sorts of really cool little camera tricks that you see a lot of the professional guys do. The camera will do it for you. And actually, if you have an iPhone, I know for sure you can do time lapse and slow motion. So give you an example, I did a video where Cameron was running through the snow and stuff. I shot that on my iPhone, and I just pressed slow motion mode, and it recorded it. You didn't have to have fancy software, nothing like that. You just took the clip, dumped it into your video, and boom, you know, it looked pro. So just that simple. Just going back to the chat here. Sorry, when I picked up my phone, I closed the chat. And then from there, you can kind of keep upping it. I recently got into photography and still photography, but then I also upgraded my rig. So now this is what I shoot a lot of the Weekend and Homestead stuff on. It looks kind of gnarly, to be honest with you. I mean, this is just a regular camera, and it's got a flip out screen on the back.
What model is that, Will?
This is the T6i from Canon. You got to look at some of the models because there's like the T6i and then there's the T6. The T6 doesn't have the flip out screen. You're probably wondering, why would you want a flip out screen? Well, if you're videoing yourself, now you can see what you're videoing without the other one just has it on the back for a photographer. So that's the difference on those. I got this on sale on Amazon for Christmas at a pretty screaming price. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have got it. And then a lot of people see these vlogger guys with, you know, this microphone. This is actually the exact same microphone, just a bigger version. This is what the one will look like that it goes into your phone. So the one for the phone, of course, is a little bit smaller. But for the camera, you can put this on, which is called a dead cat. And by the way, if you ever ship one of these or you get one in the mail, warn the person beforehand. My wife opened the box and screamed she thought there was a dead mouse inside the box from Amazon when we got this. But what this does is it knocks down the wind. So if you had a GoPro, let's say, or your iPhone or any device, and you're out somewhere and it's windy and you always have that wind because you're in a windy spot, you're on your property and it's always windy, a little thing like this was $10, but it knocks down probably 75% of the wind noise out of your microphone. You can get them for your phone, you can get them for little mics, and you can get them for big mics. So little tip on if you're getting some gear to shoot with, definitely something to use. It doesn't hinder the audio quality or anything like that. It just cuts out the wind noise. That's pretty much that. I guess, does anybody have any questions so far? Trying to see.
Grandma Rose says she has a Canon 5D and it doesn't have video capability.
Yeah, it's the 5 series. The 5 Ti is the series where they started to do that. The 70D, the 80D have video. The 5D, the 4D don't, but you can get anything with a T in the name. So 3 Ti, 4 Ti, 5 Ti, 6 Ti, there's a 7 Ti. Those all do video, and you just flip a switch. So right now I'm in photo mode. I just flip a switch, and now I'm in video mode. They make all sorts of lenses. Like this is the lens that comes with it. This will cover 90% of what you do. I've kind of gotten into photography, and if you've seen anything on my Instagram, like I had a picture of Lincoln, our 18-month-old, holding a hatchet the other day. I took that photo with this lens, which is made specifically to take really close-up shots that are, you know, those kind that you see at the film studio. And the biggest reason why is because the opening is gigantic in it. So you have a situation where it'll let a lot of light in, and it'll take really detailed photos close up. So that's why you have different lenses and stuff.
What is the video length available on like your 6 Ti?
It's ridiculous, and I'd have to look up what the resolution is. I want to say it's 1920 by 1080 is what I normally shoot in, but the bit rate is I think 120. And because of that, if you shoot, if I would shoot a 2-minute video with my phone, it might be 100 or 200 megs. If I shoot that same video with the GoPro, it might be 500 or 600 megs. If I shoot a video with this in that same length, it's 8 gigs. So I shot a 20-minute video, and it was 15 gigs of data on here. And then after I edited it down and everything like that, I was at like 10 gigs for information that we had on the card. And it was just for the same video. But it allows you to do more changes, more edits, more kind of little tricks with the camera, those types of things as you're using your camera.
Okay, let me just jump in here for a second. That's what I was alluding to earlier, as far as you get some of the better equipment, and all of a sudden your file sizes become huge that you start editing. And it's just that much more difficult for your computer to handle all that data and keep everything in memory. And this is one of the things that causes the out of sync problems for the file viewback. Now, the other part of the question I have for you, Will, is, isn't there a maximum length of time without restarting that you can shoot a video with that camera? Is it like 30 minutes?
As far as I know, I've never hit the limit. Most of it on the newer sizes like the T6 and so on, I think it's dictated more by the memory card that you have in it than the actual file size itself. I believe there's a 10 gig cap on most computers for one single file before you have to change the file format. So I know that is part of it, that you can hit the wall on the amount of data that you can shoot at one point in time. But for the most part, I have never been able to hit the wall on recording. Of course, I've never set it up and just recorded for an hour. The other issue is you run out of battery pretty fast. I mean, these types of cameras, I will tell you this. Let me grab this here. I'm not messing around. I mean, I went on Amazon and I bought, here's 3. There's one in the camera. I've got, 2 more. I'd go through probably 2 or 3 batteries in a day with this, just because the LCD screen, it's got functionalities on it, like it's got an automatic stabilization. So if you're kind of shaky when you're shooting your video, it automatically smooths all that out, so you don't have to worry about it. It's got an autofocus and a manual focus, so I can change it. So let's say I'm really close, and then I get really close in, and if you ever notice on like your phone or something, it gets a little blurry, then it kind of digitally focuses itself. This will do that. The thing is it's manually and automatically doing it with a motor and a servo inside of here, so it's chewing up the battery is the biggest problem. Did I say something wrong? Oh my God, he's got a gun. Oh, it's a tripod. Did I lose you there?
No, I just I went and grabbed my Canon, which is a video camcorder.
Camcorder?
Just so
Which
people
Rode
could,
mic is that you have there?
Pardon?
Which Rode mic is that?
It's the it's a Rode powered mic, because
Gotcha. Yeah, that's the one
camcorder,
up from the one that I have.
well, this camcorder does not power the microphone, so you have to have a powered mic with its own battery system on it. But let me bring me over here for a second so people can see this. This is a Canon video camera. Let me just take it off the tripod here.
Somebody asked, what's the best camera lens to use for a cooking video? I use on mine.
He wants to know what's the best camera lens to
There's a
use
lens
for doing
called,
a cooking
let me take
video.
this off here, I'll show you. Party hold. So this lens right here from Canon, if you look on the side, you'll see a number here. It says 10 to 18. This lens is basically the same as the lens that you get here, but take a look at the opening and the difference.
Here, let me bring you back over. All right, now you're back on the screen. Go ahead and look through the
Okay, so when you
binoculars.
buy a camera, you get a lens with it, and this one here is 18 to 55, which basically 18 to 55 tells you how far back and how close it will get. The lower the number, the closer you are, the higher the number, the further away. So what this is it's basically a zoom. So think of it as 18 is the low number and 55 is the high. And if you look as I turn the camera, see how it moves? So this is what comes with your camera normally. What I was suggesting is there's a lens called a 10 to 18. It's a lens that's made by Canon, but here's the difference. Let me put these up on the screen. See the difference there? The size is the same on the one side, 18, but if you can look at the size of the lens, much bigger and much bigger opening. This takes a wider shot, and you can take pictures and images much closer, so you can get a wider field of view. The other lens that I recommend to people, if you're looking to do close-up stuff, hold on a second here. Just want to put this down. Is this little guy. It's called the Nifty 50. It's a 50 millimeter lens, and when you look at lenses, let's go back to this again. See the size difference here? Very short. Taking photos and videos 50 feet away, you're taking photos and videos close up. Like if you look at my Facebook page, I have a picture of little tiny leaves that are growing up for seeds, and I got really close and they're really super detailed. That was with this lens versus this one. And here's the big difference is, check this out. If you see through here, see how small that opening is? It's used for taking photos at a distance. Now let me bring this one over. See the difference in the size? This one lets a lot of light and detail in close range. So if you're doing cooking and things with your hands and things like that and really close up, you'd use something like this, because look at the size of that opening versus something like this where it has a small opening. So those are kind of some of the things that you can look at when you're looking at lenses. Nice thing is a lot of these are different kit lenses that are on Amazon, and they're pretty reasonably priced if you get into this. I mean, the camera, of course, is the most expensive part, but I think I got I want to say the 18 to 10 and the Nifty 50. I think this one here you can get for like $60 or $50. on Amazon. So I mean, it's not that expensive, but if you already got the investment into the equipment, you know, to pay a little bit to get a lens to do exactly what you're doing. Like my cooking videos that I do, I shoot it with this lens here. So hopefully that answered the question.
Okay, let me come back to the camcorder here once now. This is a Canon. It's an inexpensive camcorder. It was the cheapest model that they had at the time. It was $200, brand new, and it's got a 56 times zoom ratio on it. Its biggest drawback is low light situation. It just doesn't do low light very well at all. Things I've added to this is this adapter on the front. So just take off, which makes the lens a wide angle. This is the camera itself. And it has the screen that comes out on the side. And it too will rotate to the front so you can see. Like I say, the camera itself was a couple $100. This microphone was $150. So the microphone was almost as much as the camera.
Interestingly enough, you say that the microphone. So I have the same microphone, but my camera has the power pack in it, so I don't have to have battery powered because the microphone. So if you notice, the microphones are almost exactly the same. They have kind of the same mount. You've got the battery on it. This one here plugs into my camera and powers right off the camera versus yours. Camera's less expensive, microphone's more expensive. This scenario, camera's more expensive, microphone is less expensive.
Right.
Comes out to the same.
But this is a relatively inexpensive way to come up with some pretty good quality video. This will shoot easily 2.5 hours under a single charge on the battery. And that'll easily fit on a 32 gig memory card. So that's just some of the differences. If you're looking to get some, and it has the stabilization in it, so it has a lot of the same features that the more expensive one has, but it doesn't do as high a resolution, it doesn't do as much detail. It's not as good in low light situations, but if you're shooting in the daytime outside, you're good. You're good. So we added the good microphone. It doesn't do bad without the microphone, but it does make a world of difference. When we first got the microphone, Sherry and I tested this out in the garden, and at 50 foot away, it could pick us up talking. So it does a heck of a job. That shotgun mic, can't recommend it high enough.
So one interesting point to be made too, using your phone, like I said, shoots good video. It does okay for audio. But if you want to really crisp up your video, a lot of people will take the average and okay stuff that your phone is taking, and then they mess around in editing for hours, taking out the wind noise or fixing the video quality because it's too dark or too light or whatever it is. By changing your device and shooting differently, the second that I got this microphone, I used to spend hours trying to get the audio right on my phone, because if you're too far away or you're too close, like when you're too close, it's super, super loud. But when you're far away, it's super, super quiet. You're trying to want to even it out in your editing program, so you sit there and mess with it for hours. Now that I upgraded to a different microphone, I don't do that at all. It just records exactly what it needs to, and it's basically saved and cut my editing time by getting different equipment in half, because the lighting is always better. I don't have to mess with the lighting in the editing program. I don't have to mess with the audio in the editing program. I just need to produce good content and put it out there. If you looked at some of my videos that were 2 years ago or even a year ago, a lot of those were shot on my iPhone. The videos that I shot within the last 60 days that are up on my channel, like a good one is the Cameron adventure video. A lot of that video footage that's in the front of that video was shot with this camera and with a drone. So just kind of and you can see the difference in the quality of what this camera will do in comparison to my phone. If all you can afford is your phone, do that. Do that until you get better at doing videos and audio and things like that. Buying a better camera doesn't make your content better. It just makes it look better and sound better. If you have horrible content, it doesn't matter. Content is king. I've seen people shoot stuff with a really bad phone and have 20 million views, and I've seen people shoot stuff with huge rigs and everything else, and it's horrible. So content is important, number one, but then number two, you can start getting into different editing programs and things like that.
But you don't have to go spend thousands of dollars.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, this is more than what I really need, but I wanted to get into photography, and we didn't have a nice camera for the family. I believe this camera with the microphone in the kit was $600. So as you see it right here, well, actually, with this lens on, hold on. This setup right here, $599. And I think at one point in time it was $549 on Amazon. But the thing is it allowed us to take great photos because we wanted to do great family photos and stuff like that instead of just always using the phone. And then I can also use it for YouTube and video. So it's been helpful. If you do a lot of outdoor videos, this 18 or 10 to 18 lens that I showed with the big opening on the front, this is a wide angle lens and it does an awesome job. If you do a lot of outdoor stuff, in the woods, nature type video, that kind of stuff, I recommend this. If you do a lot of indoor close up, sitting in one spot videos, I'd recommend something like this. So 50 millimeter versus 10 to 18.
And really, the sky's the limit. I mean,
yeah,
there's cameras out there that if one has a desire, they can spend $6,000 on just the battery, or just the not the battery. I'm sorry, just the body of the camera. Some of the
there's some lenses. I mean,
and lenses are really crazy.
Yeah. So this lens here, right? I use this for long distance nature photography. Lots of zoom. This is what's called a 75 to 300. If we remember back to our lenses, this was 10 to 18 and it goes, see how it just moves that little bit versus 75 to 300. This is a prime example of it. This lens, there's three models of it. There's the silver series, the red series, and the gold series. And it comes down to the band that's on this. The silver one is the cheapest one. This lens, I believe, was $65 or $70. If you buy the red lens, it's $350, and if you buy the gold lens, it's $1,800. Same focal length, different technology inside each of the lenses. For me, I'm an amateur photographer. That's good enough for me. If you were shooting nature photography for the Discovery Channel, probably want to get the gold lens. It has more features, more benefits, better stabilization, all of that.
Angie's asking, so the smaller number to the larger number means what again? She's taking notes.
The smaller number to the larger number, the span between the numbers is the amount of zoom there is. So if you have a 75 to 300, big zoom. 75 to 300, big.
Angie,
small range.
Just to put that in perspective, most snapshot cameras are about 50 to 55 millimeter. Most snapshot cameras are 50 to 55 millimeter. So if you get smaller numbers than that, it's more of a wide angle.
Yep.
You go with bigger numbers, the 75 to 300, it's more of a telephoto. It's for long distance.
Exactly. So the bigger the number you can get, the bigger the range, the bigger the zoom and the distance, the smaller the range, the smaller the focal point.
Have any other questions here?
Regarding your low light situation, on your camera, the camera that I have here that I'm talking about does really good in low light situations, but there's also another easy way to fix a low light situation on a camera. right here. A simple light would be able to do that. And the cool thing about a lot of these lights is you can just turn it up, get brighter,
lens there.
turn it down, and it gets darker. Something like this is $30 maybe, you know, and they have different sizes. There's small ones too you can get. This one I think is like $20 or something like that if you go on Amazon or Best Buy. It's just look up small LED camera light. And this one, they're all battery operated, so there's no cords, no anything, so you can use them anywhere. I use this one in the barn all the time to shoot different things. But if you have a camera that doesn't work well in low light, like the camcorder, you know, a $15 or $20 light would add enough light most likely to make it work like a device that has, you know, that built in.
Okay, Angie, to answer your question there, a lot of that's going to depend on your perspective to the item that you want to photograph. How close are you to that item? If you want to take a picture of a small flower, but you can't, you're 50 foot away, you're going to have more of a telephoto type lens. If you have the ability to get right up to it, you may want to get a wide angle lens to get very crisp, sharp images. So it's going to depend on where you're at in relationship to the subject that you're taking the picture of.
Here, I got a real example of that here. Hold on, let me set this up. This one here, this one you see right here, you have to be very close to it, but it takes a great image on very, very small things, very close up. This one here, you have to be, if you're not close to it, this will help get you close to that item. If I had to pick one, I would pick the smaller lens that's made for taking pictures of things close up than the bigger lens that's made for taking pictures of things further away. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the whole thing is where are you in relationship to your subject that you want to photograph?
What can you recommend for zoom lens for an iPhone? Magnifying glass?
Well,
they actually have a lens for the iPhone that you can clip on that is a zoom lens, and I think it's like $50, and it actually works pretty good. The problem is that the video quality gets super grainy when you zoom in with it.
Yeah, Casey Neistat did a review on it.
Yep, that's the exact one that I was thinking of.
So,
to be honest with you, most run and gun video shooting, do that with your iPhone, pull it out of your pocket, shoot the video that you need, save it. You can send it to your computer. You know, you can do the same thing with your Samsung phone. If you need to zoom on an iPhone, here's what I say. Let's say this is your standard perspective and you want to zoom. Wait, I have it built in. There, now I've zoomed in. Now I need to zoom out. Now I zoom out. Probably the best zoom you have is get closer to your subject.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd want to mess with the attachment of an external lens to a phone. I just don't know if I'd want to mess with that.
It kind of gets rid of the phone gets rid of a lot of the fancy things like zoom and a lot of the settings and things like that, but it also fits in my pocket and I pretty much have it everywhere I go. So the convenience factor of it easily trumps the, you know, all the lenses and all the gadgets and all that stuff. If I want to go for a hike in the woods, I'd rather just take this than take all of my equipment. I mean, my equipment fits in this gigantic bag. I've got a lot of it on the floor here. And even my GoPro kit, you know, fits in a bag. I'm not going to carry all this stuff out there when I'm going to hike around, but instead, my phone's pretty easy to carry and use.
Well, and another thing, your Canon camera is a DSLR.
Correct. Yep.
So another choice that one has is more of the point and go, like a Canon G7, for example. That's more of a snapshot type camera. I believe it has a limited amount of zoom in it. I don't recall.
Yep, I know which one you're talking about. Actually, isn't somebody giving one of those away right now?
Well, I was just going to say, off grid with Doug and Stacy are going to be giving one of those away.
That's a nice camera. I mean, it's when you don't want to carry this and you don't want to use this, That's the perfect compromise between these two. Smash these two together, and that's that camera. The problem is I always thought that camera, for the spec that it has, it seems a little pricey, because isn't it like $699?
I'm thinking $750. So we're in the same neighborhood.
Yeah. So don't get me wrong. I mean, if I had to, like I said, $599, and here I am running with this thing. Don't get me wrong. The other camera is cool, but I think I have more options here with this.
Well, yeah, but
with these two things together, I have all the options.
You got to steal the deal on that. That T6i kit now at Sam's Club is $850, and that's $100 off.
Yeah, it was one of those lightning deals on Amazon during Black Friday.
Yeah,
that's what you have to watch for. I don't buy anything at full price. I wait till everything is on super sale because I'm cheap that way.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. You know, it's $100 off right now at Sam's, but it's still $850. Now that's with 2 lenses. Does not have the mic. So the mic's another $100.
Let me pull it up on Amazon quick and see what it says. $6.99 on Amazon right now. And that comes with a bunch of lenses and a bunch of other stuff with it too. So, neat stuff. Any other questions today? I saw somebody posted something in here that said something about apps on your phone. Next week, if I send you some screenshots, can I send you a couple apps that I use? If you're big into Instagram and taking photos, I have 2 apps for your iPhone, and I think they make it for Android phone too, that you can use, that you can make the photos from your iPhone look like DSLR photos. And they're free, both of the apps.
Okay.
We can do phone apps next week if you want.
Sure.
I guess any other questions on camera gear while I have it all schmattered out here?
Just looking to see if we've got anything coming through here. We've been on a little over an hour here. 1870s Homestead should be having a live stream. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to infringe too long on them.
I actually have to hop off too because it's reading night for the boys and all that. So I said that I would help with all that.
So does oh, Andy was sleeping, huh?
No. Mm-mm. Nope.
Hey.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys for having me again. It was fun.
Well, let me just advertise our Monday night here, just for a moment. Next Monday night, we've got a channel joining us that most of you probably haven't ever heard of. A fellow by the name of Stead Homer, guy from Ohio here. That's he's been doing YouTube for a little while, but kind of taking his time at it, doing a little bit at a time. And so we're going to have him next week. The week after, we'll have Justin Rhodes. We're still nailing down a date for Stacy Lynn Harris. And we've got Off Grid with Doug and Stacy scheduled for
August. Rolling Thunder.
Yeah, Rolling Thunder Homestead is going to be, what, Memorial Day?
Memorial Day, yes.
Yeah, Memorial Day. So,
hopefully our snow will be gone by then.
Leave Tennessee bright and early Monday morning to get back here to be on computer for the live stream.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to be on Monday night, we have almost all summer open. Come join us.
I think we should figure out a trivia game for Tuesday nights.
What do you want to give away, Will?
I don't know. I'll see if I can find some gadgets or gear here that we might be able to do something with.
Oh, can I play?
I have lots of gadgets and gear. I'm a gadget hound.
Yeah, can I play?
So here's one for you.
Yeah, some nice gadgets.
Selfie stick. It's on Amazon for $15. The coolest thing about it, watch this. The bottom part unscrews, so you can use this as a little tiny tripod if you want. You can screw this piece onto it, and then if you need to extend it, it extends up all the way. And then on the top, it has multiple screw heads where you can put, depending on what you need, you just screw it right on there.
There you go. All right.
There you go.
Tim and Amy's Homestead. I don't have my headset. August 20th is Off Grid with Doug and Stacy.
August 20th, okay.
Yeah.
August 20th, Off Grid with Doug and Stacy.
Perfect.
I don't see anything else. So, everybody have a wonderful week. 1870s Homestead should be live right now. And Will does a live stream on Sunday nights.
I actually may be changing that, just so you know, to Sunday afternoons.
Sunday afternoon.
Possibly. We're going to see. I'm still messing with it. I'm using the technology right now at the Homestead to stream here to do Skype, and it works great. I'm trying to figure out why I can't stream on YouTube yet, so I'm working out the bugs on that. If I can work it out, I'll do it earlier. If not, it has to be later when I'm at home. Excuse me there. So,
hey, you got any fireworks shows coming up?
what do I have coming up? Actually, we're kind of dry for a little bit on next week. I have Bon Jovi, I believe, on Friday, and then 2-3 weeks from now, I have Slayer. If you remember who Slayer was, the heavy metal band from the 90s, I have them coming up here. And then we have the 4th of July. But other than that, it's actually pretty quiet until we get to the fall. It's kind of odd. You'd think there'd be more fireworks shows, but most people, like the stuff I do with all the indoor stuff and the stuff with the big artists and things like that, a lot of that stuff, the summer tours are either on the front side of summer or back side of summer. They don't really do anything in the middle, so it's pretty quiet.
All right. Well, so everybody have a wonderful week. You got anything for anybody?
No.
Will, thanks
Make sure
so
if you're
much
not
for being
subscribed
there.
to the Weekend Homestead, you stop by and subscribe. We got a lot of new stuff coming out. I'm starting a new 5-minute video challenge. I'm going to try to shoot a video, 5 of them in a weekend. So I have one every day of the week during the month of May. So we'll see if I can get that to happen.
All right. Take care. Everybody have a good week. And we will see
Yeah, everybody.
you next Monday night.